Peace, Brother Bridge here, abode of Sun Moon. Today we're gonna be talking about Gnosis, Gnosticism. About to separate the wheat from the chaff, the men from the boys. Gnosticism we're talking about today. Okay, so what is Gnosticism? Well, Gnosticism is Gnosis. It's a knowing. It's not even something that you could really be taught. It's a higher consciousness, you could say, a higher form of knowing. In the Gnostic text, it's referred to as the light of Lucifer, or the fire of Lucifer, the eternal fire, the soul of the flame. So before we get into this, let's where do I want to start? Okay, before we even do anything, let's establish something. Exactly what is religion? Okay, so I have the Random House College Dictionary here, revised edition. They say this is the most extensive dictionary for etymology. My girlfriend Honeybee got this book. She was doing some etymology work on pardon me, my goddess Honeybee was doing some etymology work, and Yafa Bey recommended that you begin with this book for your etymology work. So it's the College Dictionary, the Roman Random House College Dictionary, revised edition. Okay, so let's look up religion. What is religion? Okay, because some would call Gnosticism a religion. A lot of people, that have an idea of what Gnosticism is, they think it's Christianity. So let's look up what a religion is. Where are we? Okay, one moment. So religion. Okay. Now we're going to be looking up the etymology, the root where the word came from. Because that actually helps you get to the meat and potatoes of the deal, instead of reading, the definition is cool, but I like to read the root of the word. Okay, so religion. Oh, here we go. Religion. So it says religion. Religare. The first part of religion comes from religare, which means to tie or to fasten. Means as in to do again, and lig means to bind. So lig means to bind again, to tie back to connect to something. Okay, and the ion shows the action of tying back to something, because means to return, to do it again, to go back to. Lig means to tie, so you're retying, you're reconnecting to something. Okay, so that's religion. Reconnecting to what? To the one, to the source. Okay, reconnecting to the one source is what religion is supposed to be. Okay, So now let's look up Gnosticism. Okay, so here we have Gnosticism. Okay, Gnostic. Here we go. Gnostic. It's from the root word gnostikos. It's Greek. Gnos means known. Ikos, ik. Okay. So known, ik. So ik gives it the characteristic of a group of people. Okay, like Hispanic. Okay, so Gnostic means to know. Okay. I'm going to read the definition. Pertaining to or having knowledge, especially of spiritual things, pertaining to or characteristic of the Gnostics, a member of any or certain heretical early Christian mystical sects that claimed that matter was evil and denied that Christ had a natural corporeal existence. So they say that the early Gnostics were heretical Christian mysticals that claimed that matter was evil and denied that Christ really existed in person. Gnostic, name of the sect, pertaining to knowledge. Gnos means known. Okay, so Gnosticism means they're saying here it was one of the first Christian sects. However, Gnosis or Gnosticism is a higher understanding, a higher consciousness. Okay. And last, but definitely not least, let's look up what is the Demiurge. Okay. So here we have the word Demiurge. I'm going to read the definition first. The artificer of the world. Artifice. So the creator of the world. And notice the root word artifice, so artificial. Okay. In the Gnostic and certain other systems, a supernatural being imagined as creating the world in subordination to the supreme being. So he's a supernatural being imagined as creating the world, but still subordinate to a supreme being, meaning there's something greater than him. Okay, so it's Greek. The root of the word is demiurgos, which means a worker for the people, skilled worker. Okay, so demi means of the people, and ergos means a worker. Okay, so the demiurge, the root word of the demiurge is a worker for or of the people. Hold on, I'm not gonna put my own spin on it. Demiurgos, a worker for the people. Skilled worker equals demios. Skilled worker equals demios of the people, and ergos, a worker. So of the people, a worker of the people. A worker of the people. Oh, okay, so you work the people. Demiurge is the whole concept or the consciousness of working the people. Work, 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 work. That's what you're here to do. You're here to work. Oh man, that reminds me of that Rihanna song. Y'all remember that? Yeah, so before we get into this any further, so now that we have those three definitions, that helps us out quite a great deal on this journey. Now, Let's see here. We're also going to be referencing Brother Panic's book a little bit today. Also, we're gonna be reading from a Gnostic text called The Forbidden Religion. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Forbidden Religion. Let's pull that up. All right. What's up, people? What's up? Okay. Here you go. Okay. Y'all with me? Here we go. The Forbidden Religion by Jose Herrou Aragon. Okay, so now what we see right here is a diagram of the uncreated world where spirit originates from, the infinite and eternal uncreated plane of the unknowable God without space and time, where spirit resides, spirit, the eternal flame, antimatter. Okay? This represents this bridge that must be built to liberate the spirit, which would be your crown chakra, your gateway to the higher realms. Okay? This is your soul, which is your pineal gland, and this is your body. Okay? And physical creation in matter. All right? So limited and ephemeral created plane of the creator God or demiurge with space and time. All right, let's move on. Okay, so these are all the index and all that. We're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, so primordial gnosis. Okay, so we read the dictionary's version of gnosis. So let's hear what the Gnostics have to say what gnosis is. Primordial gnosis is knowledge, wisdom. That is the meaning of the word gnosis, knowledge. But we are not just referring to any knowledge here. Gnosis is very special knowledge. It is knowledge that causes a great transformation in those who receive it. Knowledge capable of nothing less than waking up and spiritually liberating those who acquire it. That is its purpose, to throw light on the status of human beings and try to wake up man and help him escape from the prison in which he finds himself. Okay? Let's skip down here. What I am calling primordial gnosis is the pure form of gnosis. It is always the same and will never change as long as the spiritual situation in which man finds himself and all that we call creation or world don't change. Okay, so knowledge is pretty much, gnosis is pretty much some very volatile, dangerous stuff here. It's knowledge, it's life-changing knowledge that can bring to you anything that your heart really desires. Because what gnosis is, it frees you, and actually it teaches you that, it shows you that matter and the created universe is not all. When you're looking at the flashy things and all the fancy toys and all the nice things, you know, a lot of people would think that that is the end all be all. However, gnosis shows you that it is imperfect and below you. It's beneath you. Okay, so gnosis or Gnosticism pretty much exposes all the players in the game of life, this game of creation that we find ourselves in. Okay, so Matter is evil. All religions maintain that matter is good. The world is good. It was created by God, and God is just and good and created something good for man. That is why the Bible said, and God said, let there be light. And there was light, and God saw that light was good. Now, it says here primordial gnosis, which we can from now on just call gnosis with capital letters to differentiate it from other false gnosis, which has appeared throughout the course of history, maintains the opposite. Matter is evil, impure. Matter is the prison of the spirit. This material world is hell. Matter is evil. And if matter is evil, it follows that its creator must also be evil. For Gnostics, the material world, this world was created not by a good or just God, but by a creator, Satan. Matter is something satanic. Therefore, whoever created it must also be a satanic being. Okay? Time is evil. The Bible doesn't say so, but time started with the Big Bang. At the very start of creation, when God said, let there be light, these 4 words could not have been spoken if time hadn't existed. Time was created by the creator God when he created light. The first great explosion and expansion could not have existed without time. Time and space were created together and are thus inseparable. Time is the breath of the creator God and all his creation, the expansion of the universe, the evolution of species, the gradual development of his plan could not occur without time. According to the Gnostics, the time breath of the creator God is as satanic as matter and as satanic as the creator God himself. Okay, so when you hear that time is the breath of the creator God, this is reminiscent of Brahma's breath in Sanskrit texts. Okay, so we're seeing the correspondence of this theology, of these ideologies throughout different cultures. Okay, so the creator God in the first centuries of our era, many of the Gnostic sects viewed the creator God not as a good or just being, but as a satanic one. Many of them likened him to Satan. Gustavo Adolfo Bequer relates in one of his accounts how the god Brahma created worlds like bubbles and how he experimented with them. And sometimes they turned out good and sometimes not. The creator God is not a completely perfect God, but apparently quite inept. There are worlds which turn out badly and he has to destroy them. There are worlds that turn out better. He tries, practices, creates through trial and error. Okay, now that also shows us what took place in the movie Mother. Okay, Mother, J-Law was Mother Nature, and her husband was Jehovah or the Demiurge, the creator God. And in the movie, you remember that he was called the poet. He was a writer. Okay. All right, now let's move on. The Bible said, God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that light and that it was good. How? Didn't he know? Didn't he know it was something good? That is why Gnostics say we are in the presence of a creator, ignorant of the effects of his creation. Okay. Likewise, the creator God always maintains that he is the only one. He doesn't just say it once. He says it all the time. He is constantly saying, I am the only God. There is no other God. I, your God, am the only God, etc. We all know that when someone repeats the same thing over and over is because they are not sure of what they are saying, which is why they have to repeat it so often. The Gnostics' interpretation of this is that the creator suspects, since he is not altogether sure, that there is another God higher than him, a God infinitely more superior to him, much bigger, much more important than him, and that is what he is trying to hide by incessantly repeating, I am the only one, there is no other God. Okay, so without a doubt, this creator God is the creator of the world, of all the worlds, the planets, the universe, matter, and time. He is responsible for what physicists today call the Big Bang. Everything maintained by modern physicists that Everything started with a huge explosion. A flash of light coincides with most of the myths of all religions concerning the creation of the world. First, God created light, then he created various other things until he managed to create animals, and then finally man. All these myths in the Bible and other religious books agree with the modern day conclusions of physicists and biologists concerning the creation of the world and man. Okay? Of course, this creation is full of mistakes and is imperfect. If this world is imperfect, if matter is imperfect, or if everything that exists in the universe is imperfect, it is because the creator of all this is an imperfect being. Okay. All right. So the demiurge is imperfect. He doesn't want you to know that he's an imperfect lesser God. However, in the Bible, there are numerous texts where you know, the demiurge would say things like I am a jealous God, or I am a he's well we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, we're getting up to that part right here. Okay? So without a doubt, this superior being cannot be good, and throughout history, those who maintain these ideas that I'm relating were naturally persecuted or paid with their lives for daring to say that which for them was the truth. Okay, I missed a part. Check this out right here. In sacred books of various religions, okay, this is what the demiurge is about right here, this paragraph. In sacred books of various religions, which are said to be inspired by the creator God of the universe, we are related facts, details which show the creator God to be an imperfect being and not entirely good. He is sometimes portrayed as being vindictive, bad-tempered, arrogant, insecure, and indecisive. A God who loves sacrifices in his name, genocide, and who orders people to kill others and their belongings, land, people, and livestock to be taken away. He gives orders to kill not only his enemies, but also women, children, and animals. A God who commits genocide. This God demands sacrifices in his name, since he loves the smell of burnt flesh of the victims sacrificed at the altar. This is the God who caused the flood. How many hundreds of thousands of men drowned in the flood? This is how it is related in the Bible and other pre-biblical texts, like that of the Babylonian flood, for example. He has a taste for sacrificing people and animals and for the spilt blood of his enemies. He likes to be admired, adored, served, feared, and obeyed. He likes the temples built in his honor, the rituals, the commandments, the accomplishments of his orders, the prayers sent up to him. He likes the pain suffered by all his living beings, the torture, the suffering. Ancient Gnostics used to call him Yaldabaoth, which means son of chaos. Son of chaos. Now, who is chaos? Yeah. Who is chaos? Okay. Let's take a look to see who is chaos. All right. That's not chaos right there. That's not chaos right there. Where are you, chaos? Oh, there she goes. Tiamat, goddess of chaos. Looking like homegirl from Game of Thrones with her dragons and shit. So I guess that's who Game of Thrones is trying to that's the energy they were going for there. So here we have Tiamat, okay, who Marduk destroyed, or thinks that he destroyed, but Tiamat told him that she will always be there, you know, in his and all of his minions. She'll be there in all of his thoughts and everything that he does, even when he doesn't even know it. But that's a different lecture. That's a different story right there. Right now we're talking about Gnosticism and the demiurge. Okay, so they call the demiurge the son of chaos. Okay, Tiamat, the great mother, the great black mama, the unknown god or goddess, the uncreated god or goddess. Okay, all of these things that symbolize chaos. Okay, so Marduk destroyed Tiamat. Okay, Marduk right here with his spinning wheels, with his chakras, with his many chakras adorning him. Okay, Marduk with 50 names was said to have destroyed Tiamat and created this world that we are currently in right now. So we're seeing the similarities in these different mythologies in different cultures and how it's playing out. Okay, let's continue. Ancient Gnostics used to call him Ialdabaoth, which means son of chaos. Sometimes he was called Sabaoth, like Sabbath, or Saturday, Sabado, for Saturday in Spanish. God of exertion. Okay, so the Sabbath is when you rest, because you're exerted. So he's called Sabaoth for the Sabbath because he's the god of exertion. The worker, Demiurgos, worker of men. So you need the Sabbath to rest. Okay, they also used to call him Cosmocrator, or the great Archonte, the creator and arranger of matter. But the name most commonly given to him by Gnostics is the Demiurge, Greek for creator. Well, we just did the etymology for that, and we saw that Demiurge actually means worker of man. Okay. So without a doubt, this superior being cannot be good. And throughout history, those who maintain these ideas that I'm relating were naturally persecuted or paid with their lives. A superior being who loves wars, filicide, and who orders the genital mutilation of boys. The genital mutilation of boys, so I guess they're talking about circumcision, cannot possibly be a good god. That is why Gnostics likened him to Satan. Now, Satan, the root word of Satan is adversary. It comes from shaitan. The root word of Satan is shaitan. It's an Arabic word, and it means adversary, adversarial force, or just adverse, opposite. Okay. So they considered him to be a creator Satan, or its creator adversary. We now know what the destiny of Gnostics, their doctrines and books, was to be. They were set on fire and destroyed. Such is the destiny of those called heretics, as they have been dubbed throughout the course of history. So heretics are usually burned at the stake as well, because the Demiurge loves this. He loves his sacrifices and the smell of burnt flesh. Okay. This world created by the creator God belongs only to him. All the physical things in this world respond to him, adore him, admire him. Of course, the doctrines of which we are giving accounts are condemned to be persecuted forever and are not going to have much influence or enjoy great success. Only a brave minority can study, interpret, or maintain these ancient and eternal Gnostic ideas, and they are unquestionably in enemy territory. But Gnosis is always present in this strange world in which it does not belong. And this Gnostic thought, opposed to all conventionally established ideas, is the most persecuted and rejected of all. These are subjects which should not be touched, things which should not be said in books, which ought to disappear, since we live in a world in which we only have the freedom to say 2 + 2 is 4. Meaning this is a world of limitation. You don't have the freedom to say 2 plus 2 is whatever it is I want it to be. They talked about that concept in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's called synergy, where 1 plus 1 equals 3 or more, where you live outside the rules of creation. Okay, we're going to touch on that some more. Okay. You see, this world is an enemy ground for a Gnostic. A Gnostic will be able to appear, speak, and quickly disappear, since all creation will automatically turn against him. How many years ahead could Jesus Christ predict according to the Christian myth? Only 3. But in these 3 years, a successful religion was formed, which has now been known on earth for 2,000 years. We were saying that this world is an enemy ground for a Gnostic because the whole of this material world and all the beings that populate it are made from matter and are devotees of matter. Remember, matter is satanic. The root word of matter is mother. Okay? The demiurge is able to create using matter. That's how he creates. We are stuck in matter, 3D physical matter. Okay? They belong to and defend matter and its creator and cannot conceive of anything different. All those opposed to the material world and the creator God are dangerous and must be destroyed. Gnosis is therefore perceived as something unthinkable and horrific, which must be eliminated. Okay? Gnostics have represented the creator God as something horrific, taking the form of an octopus or reptile. Okay? So the octopus or reptile. So we have the Dogon tribe or the fish people, the octopus. And then we have, okay, so the octopus, the Dogon, the Sirius star system is what they have advanced knowledge of. And then we have the Draco star system, representative of a dragon or a reptile, which the early Ethiopians or Nubians, Haile Selassie and his whole sect, Equatorial Africans, which they had advanced knowledge of the Draco star system. Okay, so this creator God has usually been depicted in history taking the form of an octopus or a reptile. These 2 animals represent 2 distinct and warring star systems. When we say star systems, we're really talking about DNA configurations, genes, different types of tribes. Okay. Sometimes with the head of a pig, a wild boar, or a donkey. That is why certain religions forbid the consumption of these animals. That is why certain religions forbid the consumption of these animals. That's why. He has also been represented as something similar to the demiurgic Baphomet of the Templars and the followers of certain Masonic sects. Some Gnostics have also represented the creator God as a huge multi-eyed wild boar, half asleep, which exhales breath of time, since, as we have said, time is the breath of this creator God. Unquestionably, this world is not good. Animals have to rip each other apart and destroy each other in order to eat and survive. Human beings need to cheat on each other in all ranks of life to better themselves, to compete, and to survive better. Herbivores need to destroy plants, which are also living beings. Everything is constantly destroying itself and others. And there are those which call this perfection or perfect balance. Incredible. This is hell. It is not a perfect system or even a good one. It is a system in which everyone has to destroy something else in order to survive. This is the system created. This is the world created by a superior being, the creator God or Demiurge, as you will. Okay. So let's look at some of these illustrations of the Demiurge. Okay, so Gnosis. Let's look at some of these illustrations here. Gnosis. Okay, there you have it. These are the keepers of Gnosis. This guy right here. This is us. Okay, this is us. The keepers of Gnosis here. And I'm saying higher consciousness downloads. You know what I'm saying the priesthood, the chosen, the favored. Okay, and as we see here, these are symbolic of higher consciousness descending into matter, or you in physical matter achieving higher consciousness. Okay, the Kundalini energy rising, the dualistic energy rising and becoming one at the top. Okay, the auric field here generated by the pineal gland. Okay, another auric field. And here we have a deity with the caduceus, holding the caduceus. I think that's Mercury right here, holding the caduceus. Okay. The work of turning the light around depends entirely on the method of reversal. To concentrate one's thoughts on the heavenly heart. The heavenly heart lies between the sun and moon, the two eyes. The heavenly heart, your pineal gland, your pineal gland, your pineal gland, giving wings right here. So the heavenly heart, which is your pineal gland, lies between your two eyes, which is the sun and the moon. Okay. Okay, so this is Gnosis. Okay. Represents no symbolic of Gnosis. Once again, symbolic of Gnosis. Kabbalistic, still Gnosis. Higher consciousness. Oh, the snake. We're going to get into the snake and what it represents in a little while. Okay, so the Demiurge. This is Brahma right here. Okay. And the breath of Brahma is symbolic of time and space. So this is the Sanskrit depiction of the Demiurge. Baal, another depiction of the Demiurge, a Phoenician deity, the god of thunder and rain, child sacrifices. Who else is the god of thunder? Thor. Okay. Oh, Moloch. Yeah, the Bohemian Grove owl. Moloch is sometimes an owl or it's sometimes a bull. Okay. And in ancient times, people would bring their babies, and Moloch would be this big bronze statue and with a fire burning inside. And they would place their children in the hands of Moloch. And, you know, he was made of brass or bronze. I think it was brass. And, you know, the metal would be hot. So when you place the child in the hands of this metal statue, the child would be burned alive. You would smell the burning flesh, and, you know, the child would be sacrificed to the Demiurge. Yeah. And Marduk, okay, is another representation of this Demiurge energy. Okay, so let's get back into this. So the creation of the world. We have already seen that Gnostics maintain that the Demiurge or creator God is quite inept and ignorant being. He ignores the effects that each of his creations will have. He tries things out, progressing in his creations through trial and error. We have also compared the myths regarding the creation of the world with the Big Bang of modern physics. There is an extraordinary book written by Oscar Kiss Myerth called The Beginning Was the End, in which is clearly stated the parallel between Genesis of the Bible and modern physics. Both positions in perfect agreement. Gnostics used to say, for example, that this God is a God who gets tired, who needs to rest on the seventh day, and that because of this, he cannot be an absolutely perfect God. Gnostics always maintained that the universe was created by a demiurge, a perverse and wicked creator. They were always wondering why the universe is so imperfect. It is like this because it was created by an equally imperfect being. It was made in his image and resemblance. Another interesting thing about the myths of various religions is that the creator isn't creating alone. He says, let us make, as if there were many creators working together. Let us make this, let us make that. The Bible says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Us, our. Why? Who are the others? Who else is he creating with? St. Augustine, in his book on the Trinity, skillfully and wittily says it once very clearly. The Creator says, let us make, in the plural, because he is speaking of the three divine persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, who are three and yet one at the same time. That is why God speaks in the plural. Augustine never returns to this issue. He settles the matter like this once and for all. Okay. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay, so let's go ahead and I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something real quick. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay. Brother Panic's book right here, The Origins of Occult Civilization. Highly recommended. Okay. In chapter 5 of this book, where Brother Panic speaks about the Kabbalion. Now, the Kabbalion is pretty much the rules of matter, the 7 hermetic laws, okay? 7 alchemical principles that they're pretty much the laws of matter. Okay, we could run through these real quick. Let's run them down real quick. Okay. So, number 1 is the law of mentalism. Number 2 is the principle of correspondence. Number 3, principle of vibration. Principle of polarity. Principle of rhythm. Principle of cause and effect. And the principle of gender. We're going to tackle all of that on a later date. Okay. For those of you who might not be acquainted with the Kabbalion. So, the Kabbalion, those 7 laws that I just ran down, one of them is the law of attraction. And after that book came out, The Secret, most people are aware of that law, but there are 6 others. Okay, and these laws are what govern physical space. Okay, so it's a good idea to learn these laws, and you'll be able to manipulate matter. You'll be able to manipulate this created space. Okay. Okay, now what we're going to be talking about is the Holy Trinity. Okay, because Brother Panic broke it down in here how the Holy Trinity actually represents the great physical plane, the great mental plane, and the great spiritual plane. Okay? Physical, mental, spiritual. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about. Okay? A lot of us, we don't know where our soul is located. Okay? First of all, your soul is located in your pineal gland. Some of us, we may, I've read before that the soul is located in your solar plexus. The solar plexus is the 3rd chakra, it's the chakra of mastery. And in your intestines, you do have an intelligence. That's why it kind of looks like a brain, and thus the term gut feeling. And you do have a solar plexus, but that is not the soul. That is not the seat of your. That is not your the seat of the silent observer. Your solar plexus is not that. Your soul is your pineal gland. Now, shout out to master teacher brother Bobby Hemmett, who taught he taught that there was a difference. There is a difference between spirit and soul. They're not the same things. Okay. Through research in Brother Panic's book and in this book right here, Forbidden Religion, and plus just Gnosis on my own, I've come to the conclusion that, okay, your pineal gland is your soul. Spirit is the eternal fire, the eternal flame. Okay. Brother Bobby used to mention that spirit, animals, anything alive has spirit. That's what makes it able to move. That's what animates a body, spirit. What I've come to the conclusion is that spirit is the eternal flame. Everything has a soul, but spirit animates the soul. Spirit is the divine spark descended from higher realms of consciousness, higher planes, and enters your pineal gland, enters your soul, and ignites your soul. Spirit would be Lucifer, the light, descending into your soul. Okay, now right here in Brother Panic's book, it shows how the Holy Trinity is the great physical plane, then the great mental plane, and then the great spiritual plane. Spirit is the highest plane. Okay, the mental plane would be your mind, would be the pineal gland, would be your anatomical structure, your thinking process going on in your head. Spirit would be the spiritual knowledge, the connection to the higher realms, that higher consciousness, the eternal fire, the light. Okay. All right. So that is the difference between your spirit and your soul. Because spirit is uncreated. In this book that we're reading today, we'll find out that the soul, body, and the soul was created by the Creator. And we're going to get into the whole reason of this, the purpose of this Creator God. Okay. That's right. All right. So moving along. Just had to touch on that for a minute. Now let's get back into this. Okay. Okay, so okay, the Creator God is the one in charge, but he relies on an army of helpers, of constructing angel demons who support him in his creation and carry out his orders. That is why in Genesis, the Creator called him Elohim. The Bible story begins in this way. Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning, the gods created, because Elohim in Hebrew is plural. It means gods, lords. Gnostics point out that these gods are the Demiurge and his constructing angel demons, which in great numbers, millions of them, help him in his task of creation. Even in systems of thought that oppose Gnosis, those which see the creation of the world as something good, we hear mention of these constructing helpers and their hierarchies, into which they are divided according to their functions. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. The region of the, okay. There are modern theosophical texts like those of Blavatsky and Bailey, amongst others. Okay, one moment, y'all. One moment. Bear with me. Bear with me one moment, y'all. Okay, experiencing some. Give y'all a little something to listen to real quick while we handle these technical. We got sleepers. All right, y'all, I'm back. Okay, there are modern theosophical texts like those of Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky, and Bailey, amongst others, in which we can find out more about their names and duties. Okay, so the regent or the demon or angel, depends on which side of this thing you're standing on. The regent of the earth, for example, is Sanat Kumara. Changing around the two letters gives us his real name, Satan Kumara. So adversary Kumara, cool. A name that is hardly hidden, since human beings still must not know the truth or the future that the Creator has in store for them. It is better then that this character's name is not widely known for now. Mankind is still not ready for the news that the planet Earth has a regent who is a Satan, an adversary. A Satan inferior to the other one, the big one, the main one, the most important one in this created material system, this finite universe, which is limited and full of imperfections, which he has managed to create. In Gnostic myths, these satanic constructors who help the Demiurge are represented as monsters. So in Gnostic myths, they're represented as monsters. The angels, you would see Archangel Michael and Gabriel and these guys, they would be represented as monsters in Gnostic texts. The creation of man. Almost all the religious myths relate that man was created by God from the dust of the ground. The Bible clearly says, and the Lord God formed man of dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. It is saying here that God created the body and the soul of man, a physical material part, the body of dust, and an anemic part, the breath of the creator, which we call soul. Okay, so the anemic part mean the animated part, which we call the soul. Okay, so it's the soul that allows anything in creation, everything in creation to move, to procreate, to, have life. That is the breath of the creator God. Okay, now then, if man were only a body and soul, he would be like any other animal, slightly more intelligent than the others maybe, but inside he would be more or less the same as an animal. Later, we will see that after his so-called fall, man, such as we know him today, is far more than a body and a soul. Although God created the body and the soul, there is something else. There is an uncreated spirit, not created by God, which has been imprisoned, enclosed in the soul of man. The Bible doesn't say so because the Bible speaks of that created by God. And God created the body and soul. But Gnostics maintain that man has a body, soul, and the spirit. Where did this spirit, not created by the creator God, come from? Why is it there? This is one of the next issues we will be looking into. The man in Eden, this paradise in which God placed him, didn't know who he was. He was only carrying out orders. He was naming the animals, for example, being a sort of administrator or representative of the creator God. There, in this paradise, which God had prepared for him, it was like he was asleep. He did not know who he was or where he had come from. Man became aware of who he was, found himself only after what was called the sin, the disobedience, when he ate the forbidden fruit and was thrown out of paradise. We'll be looking at this later on. We had said that God created a body and a soul. For Gnostics, all creation is satanic, evil, and originates from a Satan creator, a satanic demiurge. So not only the body, but also the soul of man is something evil and satanic. Okay, let's take a look at some of these pics. Let's check these out right now. Okay, we talked about Eden. See, so now there we go. You can see in the Christian text, they spoke about the Garden of Eden being guarded by two cherubim with flaming swords. Now, this represents the game of the demiurge. Okay, you have the Garden of Eden, which is in the center, and on one side you have fear, and you have desire. And the only way you'll ever be able to enter Eden or heaven is by taking the middle path. Okay, so this would be representative of the middle path, the entrance into Eden, paradise, heaven. Okay, the middle path. On one side, you have one pillar, which would be fear. The other side, desire. You have one cherubim here, the other here, and they're both guarding the entrance to Eden. Now, if you take the middle path and you're not consumed too much by fear, or you're not consumed too much by desire, meaning you're in this world but not of it, you will achieve godhood, paradise, entry into Eden, perfection. The list goes on and on. But when you look in the middle path, you see here the eye of providence, providence. You see the eye of the quote unquote demiurge. That could be one. This could be looked at as many ways. This could be the demiurge in the middle, giving you choices. The game that they play in the realm of duality. The game that they play in this realm of duality. Okay? Created by the demiurge. Okay? Always watching, always seeing all, overseeing his creation. This realm of duality represented by the black and white squares. Okay? Fear and desire. Fear and desire. Those are the only two choices that ever exist in this creation. Fear and desire. Master that, you master your very own destiny. Okay? So it could be looked at as that way. This is the demiurge here. Or it can also be looked at as, hey, I'm taking the middle path and I achieve godhood. I achieve creatorhood. Or you go even past creatorhood and, become something, you become pure spirit. You don't even identify with the demiurge. Now, what the eye in the pyramid also symbolizes, it also symbolizes the eye of providence, which is the eye of your soul. Okay, these would represent the sun and the moon, or your right eye and left eye. And this would be your third eye, or your first eye, your real eye that doesn't see duality. It sees spirituality. It sees the oneness in everything. True godhood, the silent observer, your spirit inside of your soul, observing and recording everything, lifetimes of information through emotion. Okay. Here we have it again. Now the G, here we have the G. Okay. And we're going to go into where this G came from. Exactly what does it mean? Okay. We're going to get into that in a little while. And then you have the eye of providence again, your soul, or it could be the demiurge. It all depends. It depends on how you, they always say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So, how you want to look at it, it could be more than what I just said right now. So check this out. This is also a symbol of Yaldabaoth, serpent snake with the lion's head. There we go. Serpent snake with the lion's head. This is another name for the demiurge. Abraxas has the head of a rooster here. Okay. Dualistic serpent going in either direction. 2. This is also, you've seen this on the Starbucks. The Starbucks mermaid, she has 2 tails. This is also another depiction of the Demiurge consuming man. Okay. Eating up all your energy. Giving you all these choices and fears, keeping you worried about paying bills, paying rent, chasing the latest material goods, that sort of thing, keeping you trapped in matter or material. This is another depiction of the Demiurge, Jehovah. Okay, Tiamat. Okay, that was Marduk right there. It's Tiamat. Right. So now let's see here. Okay. See, for Gnostics, there exists another God higher than the one who created the world and man. The creator God is not the only God. There is above him another God, infinitely superior and perfect. This God, unknowable to man, is outside of this hellish and impure creation. It is impossible for man to find this God through his body and soul, imperfect and created as they are. It is impossible for man to find this God via his body and soul, imperfect and created as they are. Only the man who has completely freed himself from this can have the slightest idea or inkling of intuition of what this God who is outside of this finite and limited universe is about. The ancient Greeks called him agnostos theos, or the unknown God. This God is for the Gnostics not only the unknown, but rather impossible to know, unknowable, at the very least, without ordinary form of being in this world. With a body and soul, we cannot have the slightest idea of what this God, who is outside all this whole system and infinitely superior to the creator God, is. A God impossible to recognize with this body and soul, from this universe created from matter and time. This God does not belong to a material plane, but to an anti-matter one. He is an anti-matter God who abhors the hell of the created matter, who with our current state of being, we are not able to recognize or even imagine. He is a mystery to us. This unknowable God is like an inconceivable and indescribable fire. He is the true God. This unknowable God is like an inconceivable and indescribable fire. Okay? So when they tell you these concepts of hell, they're telling you about the uncreated world. But this world is afraid of the uncreated world. They believe it to be evil, not knowing that they are eternal flames themselves. But this true God, normally out of our reach, cannot manifest himself or act in this impure and imperfect universe, in these hellish dimensions of created matter and time. Only in exceptional cases can the unknowable God penetrate these dimensions through one of his messengers in order to make a generally small change, and with great sacrifice. This only happens on very rare occasions, given the conditions here in this material hell. Body, soul, and spirit. Gnosis maintains that man is formed from the 3 substances, 3 elements: body, soul, and spirit. And that's also why you would see that most flags on this earth, most nation flags are 3 colors: red, white, and blue, red, gold, and green, black, gold, and green, or so it goes on. So when you see that, they're talking about body, soul, and spirit. They're talking about the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. They're talking about the great physical, the great mental plane, the great spiritual plane. See, because the truth is always going to correspond. Okay? So there's symbols all around you. The three stripes, the three stripes on the Adidas pyramid, for example. Another example of the Trinity. So just remember that whenever you see three, they're alluding to the Trinity, and it could also be corresponded with Sirius A, B, and C. Okay. But there is another element in which man is uncreated, which the creator did not create, an element which comes from another world, another kingdom, from the unknowable God of antimatter, which in our normal state we cannot even imagine. This spark of antimatter, without which no human being could have evolved to become what he is today, is the spirit. Without it, no human being would ever have differentiated himself from a common animal. This special spark, uncreated divine, coming from the unknowable kingdom, is called spirit by Gnostics. According to Gnosis, this spirit, which doesn't belong to this world, has been lured into and tied to into the hellish matter in order to make use of it, to use it as a driving force of the material evolution. An uncreated spark has been trapped in each man to start off this evolutionary process, which figures in the plans of the Creator God. Divine spirits are used to advance evolution on this plane of impure matter. The spirit, formed completely of antimatter, is trapped, chained up, imprisoned in this hell, and suffering torment that is impossible for us to imagine. It is one of the cruelest forms of torture there is, being bound to this abominable world of matter, to this created monstrosity, which we call the body soul of man. The spirit is shackled against his will and is used in each human being to advance his evolution, so that the Creator God's plans can be carried out. It is unbearable agony for the spirit, imprisoned against its will in a world for which it is strange and impure, being used as a disposable object so that an insane plan can be accomplished. Later, we will be looking into this in more detail. In other words, the spirit, uncreated matter, uncreated antimatter, spark, originating from the unknowable kingdom, is enclosed, we can say, within a bubble of created matter, and is chained up there, crucified in the matter, like Jesus on the cross. So when you hear the myth of the Titans being trapped in Tartarus, or your soul being trapped and imprisoned in your body, it's really your spirit trapped in your soul. Okay. And we also, hey, when you watch this, you could also download it. I have the link for this PDF in the description. I'm saying free for all. Go ahead and enjoy it. You can read this on your own. Okay. Gnostics maintained that if it had not been for the use of the spirit, man would never have stopped being a hominid or a wailing worm, like I said in Panic's book. He would never have evolved like he has. We can see how quickly he has evolved just over a few thousand years, as opposed to the millions of years he lived, being little more than a monkey. Little more than a monkey. Or a wailing worm. Wailing worm. Okay. Such is the power that the spirits provides to this created monstrosity called body soul. This spirit is tied to the soul. If man died, the soul would leave the body and take with it the spirit which is tied to it. The spirit is not tied to the body. It communicates with the body through the soul. And its bond is with the soul. The soul is the breath of the Creator God on man, which turned him into a living soul. The soul is the anemic aspect in a human being. It is not something immensely superior like the uncreated spirit. Remember, the last chakra is the crown chakra, and it's the bridge to the spirit world. It's your connection to the fire. It's where you're downloading the light from. You're getting that fire. You're getting the light of Lucifer into your pineal gland. There is much confusion regarding these issues. That is why throughout this description of Gnostic ideas, we are expressing a somewhat different viewpoint to the usual one, so that everyone can at least have the option of being able to choose something which is really quite different to the rest. The spirit is in this world, but it doesn't belong to it. It does not belong to this illusory world of matter and time. We can infer that if this spark of antimatter fire, the spirit, could free itself from this prison, its behavior in this world would be extremely aggressive. Firstly, since it's antimatter, it abhors matter. Secondly, because it has been skillfully trapped and shackled against its will for thousands of years. Naturally, then, on an abstract level of reasoning, if the spirit could free itself, the first thing it would do would be to destroy everything that surrounded it in this impure world, the created world, the material universe of the Creator God. This spirit is not an evil being, but it would be the normal behavior of someone who had been confined in a prison unfairly and against their will, tricked and against their will, as Gnostics say, imprisoned in a world to which it does not belong, in a satanic world of matter and time. So, if you were to, just one of us, identify with our soul, free the soul, or become the soul, or become Lucifer himself, become pure soul, become pure antimatter, you simply being here in matter would be the destruction of creation. Just like in that movie, Angels and Demons, with the guy from the Da Vinci Code. They created antimatter. They created antimatter in CERN, and they had it in this little case. I guess they had it in a soul. And throughout the whole movie, the bad guy was attempting to destroy. He was going to release the antimatter and destroy the Vatican, which he would actually have destroyed creation, starting with the Vatican. So these concepts are all around you. They're playing a lot of games in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? They're playing with these Gnostic texts. Let's look at Let's check this out, because this is some art from that movie. You see here, angels and demons. Which one is which? The only way you would know which is which if you know what side you stand on. But by the end of our research here, you're gonna know exactly which side it is that you stand on. Okay, whether you're on you identify with the soul or you identify with the spirit. An interesting fact is that at the beginning of Christianity, the existence of these three entities in man, body, soul, and spirit, was upheld. St. Paul, for example, accepted this. St. Augustine as well. Later, it was through the councils and decisions of the Pope and the Roman Church. It remained as it is known to us now, body and soul. So they got rid of the spirit. It's only body and soul that they're teaching you in church. Now it would appear that the soul is the only divine thing within man that there is, nothing else. What happened to the spirit? It has disappeared. It is striking that it has happened this way. Later, we will be revisiting this issue. Okay, so now we have three kinds of man. The three kinds of man. We have stated that human beings are composed of body, soul, and spirit. Physical, mental, and spiritual. We will therefore have three different kinds of man according to which aspect he is most influenced by, the body, soul, or spirit. See, since ancient time, man has been categorized by Gnostics in this way, in terms of the physical, psychic, and spiritual. These categories were also used by St. Peter. The Cathars, for example, also divided man into three different types: terrestrial, Hyletics, or Hylix, as was used in Commission priesthoods. So if you were ruled by the body, the Cathars called you a Hyletic. Psychic if ruled by the soul, and spiritual or pneumatic if ruled by the spirit. Terrestrial if ruled by the body, psychic if ruled by the soul, spiritual if ruled by the spirit. Okay. So in the Nag Hammadi, they found the tripartite tractate, and they find the same differentiation between the three kinds of men. And also we just spoke about it in Panic's book, the three states, the three types of the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity, but hold on, I left something out too in Panic's book. It also speaks of dark energy, dark matter, and physical matter. Dark energy, which is 73%. This is an extremely tenuous, invisible energy that pervades all of universal space and is the fabric of space itself. It is an unexplainable, baffling mystery to science at this time. Then you have dark matter, 23%, okay, of space. The invisible substance that generates the needed gravitational forces to maintain the galaxies in a cluster formation as they travel through space. Like a mom keeping everything together and tidy in space. So dark matter would be the feminine principle. Dark energy would be the male principle. And then together they have their bastard daughter, Mary Magdalene, physical matter, which makes up 4% of the composition of the universe. Physical matter is 4%. The familiar particle or material world that we see with our eyes as we live, move, and have our being with it. Okay, so that comes from Brother Panic's book, Occult, The Origins of Occult Civilization. Okay, the composition of the universe is 4% physical matter, 73% dark energy, and 23% dark matter. There goes the Holy Trinity again. Okay. The great physical plane, great mental plane, great spiritual plane, physical matter, dark energy, and dark matter, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C, body, soul, and spirit. We could go on. We could probably go on forever. Okay? It's in yoga. It's in the Nag Hammadi. It's in Commission texts. Commission. Somebody got to help me out with that, man. Y'all niggas help me out with that. Okay. Man in his normal state is lost in confusion, sleepy, not knowing who he is, where he came from, or where he is going. He does not know what he should be doing and is in a state of confusion as if in a mist or half asleep. When we were talking about the creator of the world, we said that for Gnostics, the creator, the Demiurge, the creator of matter, the universe, and man can be likened to Satan, since matter is satanic. Now, remember, when we speak about the Demiurge, he's the creator of matter. He's the creator of the universe. You see, this universe is a part of the created creation. It's a part of creation. Okay? The uncreated world is only accessible to your spirit. It's pure fire. It's the uncreated realm. The unknowable God, the unknown and unknowable God is pure fire. Okay? So when they give you these concepts of hell and you'll be burning in hell forever, yeah, of course, because if you're an eternal flame, that's where you would want to be. Okay, so when we were talking about the creator, okay, all creation is satanic. Creator is a satanic being. This creator oppresses man. Since the creation of man, he has forced him to carry out his orders and obey his precepts and commands. Remember, Demiurgos means worker of man. This creator wants to be obeyed by man, admired, feared, and adored by him by means of sacrifices and rituals. He wants to impose his oppressive rules on man. He wants man to obey him and renounce his own wishes, which are very often the desires of his spirit. Of this spiritual self that, although ignored by man, is carried within him. The creator, according to Gnosis, has a plan for his creation, which is why he created the universe and placed man in it. He has a plan he wants to press ahead with, and he needs man in order to do this. However, he needs man to act in agreement with his orders, those of the creator, and not according to the desires of the spirit. The Demiurge does not allow the spirit shackled in the soul of man to manifest itself. He wants man to act through his soul and not his spirit. For this reason, it is necessary to oppress man, frighten, and worry him. He is a God who oppresses his creatures completely. Okay, so now we know that the creator God is satanic. Satan meaning adversary, adversarial, opposed to, in opposition to. In opposition to who? In opposition to your spirit. Okay. Now, Lucifer, the liberator. One moment, y'all. One moment. Be right back. Okay. Adverse to your spirit. Okay. Loves you, created you, but hates your spirit. So where did this spirit come from? How did this spirit end up in your soul? Why is it even there? Let's find out. Lucifer, the liberator. Gnostic myths relate that Lucifer is the messenger of the unknowable God. We had said that this God, the greatest one, unreachable and unknowable, is unable to penetrate this limited universe of impure and satanic matter. You see, if you try to take the unlimited and bring it into the limited, first of all, it's impossible. Second of all, if you were to pull it off, man, could you imagine if somebody tried to take you and put you in a box? How mad would you be? Shit. Imagine being in an elevator full of people. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're skinny or fat, you don't like that. You can only imagine if you were unlimited and forced to be put into a limited space. Okay? That wouldn't go over too well with anybody. So that's why the unknowable and unreachable God is unable to penetrate this limited universe of impure and satanic matter. But they try hard. They try hard, boy. They try hard with their little rituals and they little John D Enochian magic. You know what I'm saying? Contacting. We're gonna get into that later on in this. I might break this up into a couple parts because, man, we we got a lot to cover. All right, so let's get into this. That is why the unreachable and unknowable is unable to penetrate this limited universe of impure and satanic matter. But according to these myths, he can send someone, Lucifer. Only with a supreme sacrifice can an incredibly spiritual and pure being of antimatter fire break through into the infernal world of this universe. According to Gnostic legends and myths, the unknowable God sent Lucifer, angel of indescribable fire and light, to show man the light and to help him wake up and see his true origin, the origin of his spirit, which has been perversely imprisoned in this impure matter called body soul. He is an uncreated being who came to the created world to bring light, liberating Gnosis, the saving knowledge which can wake up man and help him free his imprisoned spirit. The knowledge which allows him to know who he truly is, why he is here in this world, and what he has to do to liberate himself and fulfill his spirit, which belongs to another uncreated and unknowable plane. We have said that Lucifer came to the world to wake man up, to help him remember his divine origin, the divine origin of his spirit, and to help him free himself from the body soul in which he is trapped, and from created time and matter. So Lucifer came down here to help free you from your body soul, which your spirit is trapped, and from the cycles of time and matter. So you're trapped in time, matter, and you're trapped in your body and soul. Okay, so body and soul is time and matter. The breath of the creator God is time. The breath of the creator God is also what makes you, what gives you life, which is attributed to the soul. So the breath is the soul. The breath is time. Body is the matter. Okay. So body, the physical creation, is also symbolic or represented by some created matter. Gnostics consider that the biblical myth of creation can be explained as follows. The creator Satan of the world trapped Adam and Eve in his miserable world, and Lucifer, in the form of a serpent, offered them the forbidden fruit of saving Gnosis and showed them that the Creator was deceiving them. In other words, the Creator said to man, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. On the other hand, the serpent said, you will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. The Bible continued, and the eyes of both of them were open. It doesn't say they both died. It says the eyes of both of them were open, like the serpent had said. Later, the Creator says, and now man has become as one of us, to know good and evil. The Creator lied. He said that man would die if he ate the fruit, but man did not die. Notice the Creator said that man has become like one of us. Okay, plural again. And we're gonna catch up to that, exactly who's the us he's speaking of. Okay, so the serpent was telling the truth. The Creator himself ended up agreeing that the serpent was right. More precisely, Gnostics call the Demiurge a liar as well as a plagiarizer. For them, the entire creation is a failed attempt by the Demiurge to imitate the unknowable world. In this way, they think the Bible itself is a complete plagiarism based principally on pre-biblical Babylonian and Egyptian texts. Gnostics believe that this serpent, Lucifer, is the liberator of man and the world. It is wisdom, the liberating Gnosis that wakes up man and saves him. Of course, this messenger is the unknowable God. Of course, this messenger of the unknowable God, Lucifer, is an opponent and an enemy of the creator world. Gnosis states that the Creator wants to keep man captive in this limited, inferior, and impure sphere. He also forbade man contact with the higher world, represented in the biblical myth by the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But Lucifer, the angel of night, made a great sacrifice and descended into the satanic hell to give the forbidden fruit of Gnosis to man and open his eyes so that he would be able to remember his divine origin and his superiority in relation to the Creator. Gnostics consider that before the arrival of the serpent in paradise, man was in a state of ignorance and was blind to his true situation. They maintain that Adam and Eve were in a state of servitude until the serpent Lucifer opened their eyes and fed them the fruit of knowledge, which made them remember their divine origin and become aware of the situation in which they found themselves. Of course, the Creator threw Adam and Eve out of this paradise in which he had placed them since he wanted them, and still does not, and still does, to reflect him, to be similar to him after his image and resemblance, and to carry out his precepts so as to be like him and not like the unknowable God. He wants the spirit to stay asleep so he can take advantage of its energy, preventing it from manifesting itself in man and the world. Lucifer, the liberator of man, has also been called Abaddon, the exterminator. But exterminator of what? Exterminator of matter, because he abhors this created world of matter and time. He would behave like a hostile anti-matter force, extremely aggressive, because he hates all that has been created, as he also hates the body and soul of man. Since he belongs to the uncreated plane of the unknowable, he is an exterminator, but an exterminator of matter, of the impure. Such is the Gnostic legend of Lucifer. Okay. Bobby Hemmett also spoke in numerous lectures. He says that you're supposed to hate. It's good to hate this system, this world, and everything that this world is about. So in other words, what Bobby was saying was, once you identify with your spirit and not your soul, you will develop a type of hatred for this imperfect creation, because your spirit is not created. It's trapped in creation. So that's a sign of when you're online. You've connected the bridge. You've actually accessed your crown chakra. And that would be one of the signs that would let you know that. Okay, so before we go any further, I just want to share something with you guys. The snake, revered in ancient Kemet, as you can see it in the biblical text, and as we spoke a little bit earlier about the Draco star system and how Nubia, which birthed Kemet, the Nubians were actually they consider themselves archons. They consider themselves, or they studied the Draco star system. Okay, they are the reptilians. We are the reptilians. Okay, the Kundalini fire that travels up and down your spine to activate all of your chakras and your higher consciousness is symbolic. It's symbolized by a serpent, by a snake. Okay, now in ancient Kemet, the snake was revered because it's the only organism in creation that travels. When it moves in a D wave or frequency wave pattern. So it's showing you the key to creation. It's showing you the key to life as it moves. It's showing you one of the laws, one of the 7 hermetic laws, just as it moves. Okay? It's showing you the principle of vibration, that everything in this creation vibrates. It's moving. Everything in existence has a frequency. Water has a different frequency than ice, which has a different frequency than gas. But they're all the same thing, water. Steam, water, ice. They're all water, just different frequencies. So the snakes, just simply by moving, they show you one of the principles of life here. Okay? And also, St. Patrick here, as we can see here, patron saint of Ireland, is revered for ridding Ireland of all the snakes, of all the serpents, the reptilian people, the African Kundalini people that lived there prior to him. St. Patrick got rid of all of the snakes. He rid Ireland of all the Kundalini people. And that's why he is revered today on the Emerald Isle and worldwide. Okay, so we're done with that. Little history lesson for y'all right there. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what uncreated entities exist in this world. Okay, so first you have the unknowable God, who is not in this world, but who can infiltrate it with a tiny particle of himself, a messenger. This messenger is also uncreated, not having been created by the creator. Secondly, the imprisoned spirits of men, which also belong to the unknowable world of the uncreated and the eternal. According to Gnosis, all living beings have an uncreated spiritual element enchained in their souls, the spirit. The spirit locked within man is totally superior to that of animals, plants, and other living beings. The difference between man and the other living beings is very great, as is the difference between the spirits imprisoned inside of them. The spirits of human beings are in an elevated spiritual category. Thirdly, another uncreated entity placed on this created plane is the saving and divine knowledge of Gnosis. Knowledge that has come from outside, which has not been produced inside of this world. Okay, so you have the unknowable God, which is one of the entities represented on this created plane by Lucifer. Okay, so Lucifer would be the downloads of higher consciousness into your spirit, which is trapped inside of your soul. So Lucifer is the bridge, he's the bringer, he's the connection. Your soul contains a tiny bit of that unknowable God, which is your divine spark. That divine spark resides in your soul, inside your pineal gland. And thirdly, Gnosis itself is an uncreated entity. This information is an uncreated entity because this information comes outside of creation. It comes from another place. It wasn't created here. And this information is brought to you by that bridge. It's brought to you by Lucifer. Okay. So we just spoke of the serpent a little while ago. And here we have, according to the Gnostic interpretation of Genesis, the creator God imprisoned Adam and Eve in a world of misery and gave them a subservient soul. The Bible says that after eating the forbidden fruit, Adam and Eve hid themselves, ashamed by the mistake they have made. Okay, so God was pretty much sunning Adam and Eve. You know what I'm saying, had us here like servants. You know? That's what they're saying right there. Okay. And in his book, Le Franc Maçonnerie, so Maçonnerie, that's masonry, and Franc, so the French Masonry, or the French Masonic laws, Father Leon Murin describes the Gnostic interpretations of the earthly paradise and the serpent of Genesis, and the following ideas came up. Jehovah does not want man to know his origin or his great destiny. He forbids all contact with the higher world. He wants man to be a reflection of him, the creator, and not a reflection of the supreme God. But man did wake up, and he did become aware of good and evil. How did he manage to do this? The serpent of temptation in Eden fed him the forbidden fruit, which opened his eyes. According to the Gnostics, this serpent is Lucifer, the messenger of light. This is the meaning of the word Lucifer, bearer of light. Lucifer took the form of a serpent to wake man up. He is a messenger of the supreme God, the unknowable God. He is a messenger of the truth God, who came into this imperfect, inadequate, and wretched world to wake up and liberate man, to show him his true situation and what his great destiny could be like. For this reason, those who follow the orders of the Creator God, consider the serpent to be something malicious and satanic, and then all this confusion, liken it with Satan. On the other hand, Gnostics see the serpent Lucifer as a savior, someone who came to save man, a messenger of the true God. The serpent of enlightenment, which brought Gnosis, Gnostic truth, which allows the authentic and true nature of things to be seen in this world of confusion, came to liberate man. Lucifer is the true liberator of man. He came to liberate man from the tyranny of Yahweh. from the tyranny of the creator God. He brought the real knowledge that in itself can free man and help him to escape this satanic world and return to the world from which he came. The serpent is for Gnostics the serpent of salvation. Okay, so as we said, the Kundalini is also a serpentine fire that travels up your spine and pretty much activates your chakras. All your energy centers are located along your spinal column. So this liberating serpent can also be likened to that experience as well. Okay, also symbolic to Jesus Christ. Okay, so we can look here and see some of the figures that Lucifer is symbolic to. See, this falling star could be symbolic of Lucifer, descending from the higher planes of consciousness, fallen star here, bringing light. This figure here as well. You have the left and the right eye, and in between it you have the third eye, Lucifer descending. As you can see, you see the serpentine flames here, the caduceus, the wings. This symbolic of Lucifer descending into the consciousness of this being here, this woman here. Okay, Lucifer once again in the top of the pyramid. You have the abode of the sun and moon, left and right eye, pineal gland. You see the flame at the top of Lucifer's head, denoting light. Okay, Jesus Christ, another light bearer, bringing light, liberation, and light to man. Rudra in Sanskrit text, who actually destroyed the Demiurge. He is a Jesus figure or a Lucifer figure. He actually kicked the Demiurge's ass and had the Demiurge begging for his life. He is the son of the Great Mother, or who would be in Christian text would be his mother would be Sophia, the unknowable God. And he came here to destroy the Demiurge, and he succeeded. Herrou, another Lucifer figure. Buddha, another Lucifer figure. Okay. Okay, so Jesus is likened to the serpent of Genesis, who made his second return to earth to liberate humanity. The first time was the serpent in the Garden of Eden. He liberated Adam and Eve. And the second return of the serpent was Jesus Christ. Okay. Okay. There is a Gnostic diagram of a crucified serpent hammered onto a cross, which further shows the Gnostic identity between the serpent of Genesis and Christ. There are myths which state that the cross on which Christ was crucified was made of wood from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There was a time when all this knowledge was written down and passed on, but this period lasted until the conversion of Constantine and the reinforcement of the Roman Church as the official religion of the Roman Empire. Since then, books and documents about Gnosis have been forbidden, persecuted, and destroyed. Okay. Okay. There is one interesting piece of information about the serpent of Genesis in the book. In the book, The Refutation of All Heresies, written by Hippolytus, a great persecutor of the Gnostics. In this book, Hippolytus comments on and criticizes some of the words of Celsus, which to him are horrifying. It is about the part of Celsus in which he states, referring to the events in the earthly paradise, just as the Creator cursed the serpent when it destroyed his plans and ruined his work, so must the Creator be cursed by every man who has woken up. Just as the Creator cursed the serpent of salvation, so the Creator himself will be cursed as long as he exists by every spirit liberated from his clutches. Okay? So, the same way the serpent was cursed by the Creator God is the same way you have the right to curse the Creator. Okay. Now, let me see something before we go any further. Let's do something right here for John. See here. All right. I don't know if y'all can see this. I hope y'all can see this. Now, the Masonic compass or the symbol with the G in the middle. Okay. It's just a little tidbit. That G, that Masonic G, a lot of people say it's a sacred geometry. The G stands for God. However, in ancient times, how many of you remember this symbol right here? It looks like a lowercase g on a typewriter. This was the symbol, the ancient symbol for the Kundalini, or the ancient symbol for the serpent. Okay? Which later in time evolved into the G that we see inside the Masonic compass. Okay? So this G is alluding to the serpent. Be wise as serpents. Okay? So that's where the Masonic G came from. Just so you guys know. Just so you know. I'm saying? All right, let's get back into this. Here we go. All right. Okay, so Cain the immortal. Everybody knows what happened after the fall of man according to Genesis. Adam and Eve were thrown out of paradise and had children. First Cain and then Abel. Everybody knows that God did not accept the sacrifices which Cain offered him, but did accept Abel's. So Cain, consumed by jealousy, threw himself on his brother and killed him. Now, the more we read about these Gnostic texts, the more we see that in Hollywood, especially because I'm reading this right now, and if you've ever seen the movie Mother, you would notice that everything that we're talking about is playing out in that film. That was a great movie, by the way. You should check it out. I'm saying this right here gives you the keys to decoding that film. Okay, so everybody knows this. We have always thought how bad Cain was. He killed his brother. How terrible. Cain was the bad one and Abel the good. This is the interpretation given to us in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Even St. Augustine, in his interpretation of the myth of Cain and Abel, compares Cain with the Jews and Abel with Christ. He says that the Jews killed Christ in the same way that Cain killed Abel. It's pretty interesting. Like everyone else, carried on the tradition that Abel was good and Cain was bad. It is very clear in the Bible, Cain is punished by God, banished. This is seen as something logical and normal. Cain is bad and Abel is good. The Gnostic interpretation is completely different, as we will now see. First of all, Gnosis maintains that Cain was not the son of Adam and that Eve conceived her first son, Cain, with the serpent, Lucifer. The serpent, Lucifer, impregnated Eve with his breath. In other words, Cain was not completely human, born from flesh. His spiritual nature was great because his father was Lucifer, coming from the unknowable world of the spirit. On the other hand, Abel was the son of Adam and Eve. In other words, Abel was indeed born from flesh. We can now see the first difference between the two brothers. Cain is superior to Abel. Cain is the son of Eve and Lucifer, the initiatory serpent of Eden. Cain is the son of the spirit and of the flesh. Abel, on the contrary, is born only from flesh. Therefore, we can see, first of all, that Cain is not someone evil, but that, in fact, he is superior, important, and much more so than Abel. Secondly, Cain, as much as Abel, made sacrifices to the Creator God to please him, offering him things that he liked. Cain offered vegetables and Abel animals, lambs, for example. According to the Bible, the Creator God preferred the latter, the blood from the dead animals and the smell of burnt flesh from the corpse. And that's according to the Bible. The Bible says that the Creator was pleased by Abel's sacrifices, but not by Cain's. It appeared that Cain had little to desire to please the Creator, since he only offered him a few seeds and with little devotion, as if he wasn't entirely convinced of the usefulness of making sacrifices. Naturally, then, Abel's sacrifices were accepted by the Creator and Cain's weren't. Cain didn't like to offer sacrifices to the Creator because of his roots, because he was the son of Lucifer and had the divine spark of the angel of light within him. That is why he did not make suitable sacrifices to the Creator, and why it disgusted him to do so, since he did not belong to this created world. Abel, on the other hand, whose nature was not of the spirit, but of an animal, did make suitable sacrifices, and these were the ones which most pleased the Creator. An ancient legend relates what Abel said to his brother Cain on one particular occasion. My sacrifice, my offering was accepted by God because I love him. Your offering was, on the other hand, rejected because you hate him. Now it is quite clear. Cain hates the Creator because he is born from the spirit. His true nature is spiritual. But put it this way, it is quite clear. All these legends and myths surrounding Genesis tell us many things. Through them, we realize that much information has been distorted and hidden from us. There are other interesting things which Cain said to his brother. One small sentence sums up his position. These words are key. There is no law. There is no judge. Cain is denying the authority of the Creator God and the fact of paying homage to and obeying him. Later on, we see that Cain murdered his brother Abel. This is something very profound, as it signifies that the spirit rejects, destroys, and murders the soul. Abel, presented as pure love and devotion in the Bible, represents the soul of man according to Gnostics. Abel, presented as pure love and devotion in the Bible, represents the soul of man according to Gnostics. Cain, on the other hand, represents the spirit, which explains his hostility and hatred. Hostility and hatred typical of the spirit, since the spirit really hates this impure world full of unfair and absurd rules. Those hermetic rules, those universal rules. This explains Cain's resistance to making sacrifices and his disobedience as regards the Creator's commandments. Cain and Abel are as opposed and irreconcilable as are the spirit and the soul. They're irreconcilable. Oil and water. The soul is pure love, not true love, but that which we know is love. That which we know is love. That which we believe is love. That which we have been told is love, which in actual fact is hatred. The spirit is the opposite. It is perceived as pure hatred, hostility, and revenge. Due to being shackled in the satanic creation, the only thing the spirit can feel is hostility and hatred. That which ordinary men know as hatred. That which ordinary men know as hatred. Ordinary men. The spirit, which is pure love, can only feel aversion and disgust before this thing that is, in fact, pure garbage. That is why the spirit wants to destroy the satanic creation, because for it, creation is a deformed monstrosity which should never have come into existence. This is what Cain's murder of Abel symbolizes. Clear as day. Cain is the spirit, Abel is the soul. Okay? And that's what they symbolize. Cain, through his actions, freed himself completely from the Creator and from his own body and soul. Through these acts against the Creator God and his half-brother Abel, he freed himself once and for all from the inferior God and his impure and flawed creation. With these acts, he transformed himself into an opponent, an eternal enemy of the Demiurge and his work. This whole episode of Cain and Abel, such as it is in Genesis, in the Bible, and in legends such as the Jewish Midrash, amongst others, has been interpreted by Gnostics in a way that totally opposes the generally accepted version. After committing his supreme act, the Bible says that Cain was cursed by God and banished from that place. Cursed and banished, the same destiny as the serpent of paradise. It was logical that this should happen, as Cain had turned himself into an absolute opponent of the Creator God. But as well as that, many more interesting things happened, which we are going to be highlighting here. First of all, we saw that Cain was cursed and banished by the Creator God. This could have appeared to be punishment, is just this, which could have appeared to be punishment, is just the opposite for a Gnostic. To be cursed and banished by the Creator God is an honor for a Gnostic. It is the natural reaction of the Demiurge faced with someone who has defied him and slapped him in the face, faced with someone who has made himself equal or superior to him. Cain is in exile because he completely transformed himself, successfully exiled himself, and now no longer belongs to this world, although he carries on living in it. The Bible says the Creator banished him, but Cain is free, liberated in life, and through his acts, he cursed the Creator and exiled himself from his abominable creation. You see, Cain was free. Cain didn't have to farm anymore for the Creator. Cain didn't have to give 10% of his earnings to the Creator. Cain was free. Cain identified with his spirit. Everything Cain did for himself. He became his own Lord and master. Secondly, several Jewish legends relate that the Creator punished Cain forever with insomnia, condemning him never to sleep again, with eternal wakefulness. To being a Gnostic, this is not punishment, but a triumph. Being condemned to eternal wakefulness is an advantage, a virtue, an important achievement. Cain woke himself up, disobeying the Creator's commands, and murdered his soul. By identifying with his spirit, he murdered his soul. The soul and the spirit are irreconcilable. They're like oil and water. You can't ride the fence on this one. You got to pick one. Thirdly, the Bible says the Creator protected Cain, not allowing anyone to harm or kill him. This is another interesting fact. Gnostics say that a man who has transformed himself into pure spirit. Gnostics say that a man who has transformed himself into pure spirit, although he continues to inhabit his physical body, is immortal, untouchable. Absolutely no one can harm or attack him now, and he has no fear since he is beyond everything and will never die. Same as Jesus. No fear, since he is beyond everything and will never die. He is in this world, but outside of it as well. He is outside of matter and time, and now does not form part of creation. He exiled himself from this world by his own will. The Creator God can't harm him anymore because Cain is now superior to him. Of this world, but not in this world, but not of it. Okay, so once you do that, the Creator God cannot harm you anymore because you will be superior to him, being that you have that uncreated spark. Fourthly, the Bible says that the Creator put a mark on Cain, a sign, a mark of the beast, so that everyone would recognize him and would not hurt him. Some ancient Jewish legends say that this sign was a horn on his forehead. A horn on the forehead signifies power. A horn on the forehead signifies power. Okay? We were talking about Baphomet just a few videos ago, and the symbology of horns. A horn on the forehead signifies power, power that comes from the spirit, power that distinguishes him from other men. This callus on his forehead signifies that the spirit has freed itself and has taken possession of the body, hardening it, spiritualizing it. No one put a mark on Cain. Cain put it there himself. When this happens, it is noticed by other men and the whole of creation. Every spirit freed from the prison of matter will have this mark for all eternity. Now the spirit will never be what it was before being shackled to matter. That characteristic mark is the body transformed, as hard as a diamond. The spirit has transmuted the body and is now immortal and eternal. This will be its eternal reminder, the everlasting proof of its path through hell and its triumph over it. Damn. Separate the men from the boys. Woo. Oh. Now we come face to face with the plans of the Creator God. According to Gnostics, the Creator God has many plans which together make up this grand plan. This was the reason why he created the universe and man. To achieve his objectives, he's going ahead with an evolutionary experiment in which the body, soul, and the spirit of man are taking part. He goes on practicing, trying things out, and if he succeeds, he will extend the results to his entire created universe. If he fails, he will have to do away with this project and start again from scratch, as he has done so many times, to try something else again, and again. The fact is that he will never be able to make a perfect copy of what he imagined is the unknowable world, which he tries to imitate in vain. Okay. So pretty much what it's going to tell, what it's saying in this chapter here is the plans of this Creator God is to use. It is the divine energy of the imprisoned spirit which impelled and continues to impel the evolution of the man animal. Okay, so it's the divine spark inside of you that impels, that drives your evolution. Okay, it's why and it's how we have gotten to this point in time, how we've evolved thus far. Okay, and why does the creator want this being to evolve? So that it will transform itself gradually into him. That is why he made his precepts and commands. He wants man to transform into himself, the creator, to become the same as him. The body and soul would be very happy if this happened because they are part of the creator God. But the spirit is not a part of him. It has another origin and another destiny. As long as the spirit is chained up, everything goes well. It impels evolution. But even if one spirit frees itself, it disturbs the whole plan. That is why it is so important that the tyranny of the demiurge is absolute, and that all knowledge which could wake man up and make him remember who he really is remains forbidden, because it would be dangerous knowledge, so dangerous that it would be able to destabilize the plan of the creator God. According to Gnosis, only one spirit which can free itself would be able to weaken the whole creation and also weaken the creator God, preventing him from continuing with his plans. This spirit would be a savior of the world and of other spirits. It would favor the liberation not only of other men, but of the entire universe, of the innumerable divine sparks coming from the uncreated and eternal world, which find themselves imprisoned here in this great blind machine in order to make it work and evolve. You see, that actually kind of shows us what this movie The Matrix was about. The divine spark is a battery, and it's actually powering this machine here called creation, called matter. It's actually driving the evolution of matter like a battery. This system created by the demiurge cannot function unless it possesses these particles of the spiritual world, enslaved, imprisoned here. Gnostics say that of all these spiritual particles, those imprisoned in human beings are the most important in spiritual hierarchy and purity. The demiurge created and assembled all this and encourages it to evolve so that it evolves towards him with the human being ahead. If the experiment with man fails, he will lay his hands on another of his creatures and try again. We have said that the demiurge wants man to evolve until he turns into him and becomes the same as him, so that every soul, or in other words, his own breath, and everyone made of dust can return to him, transforming themselves into him. This is the final objective that the demiurge has for man. Because of all of this, it is fundamental to the demiurge to keep the spirit in prison so that he can use its energy. This is why the demiurge needs man to remain half asleep and confused, so that man keeps on blindly approaching him, the creator, who lures him with tricks and punishment. For this whole system to work, man has to keep on believing that the creator is the only God that exists and that he is a good God. Gnostics maintain that if man evolves to the point where he merges with his creator, at that moment, his spirit will lose all possibility of freeing itself while this universe lasts. Okay, so the creator God looks to evolve your physical body eventually into himself, because the creator God, Demiurge, Yalabo, Jehovah, does not have a divine spark of his own. But if he can bring your body and soul, which contains the divine spark, and make that a part of him, all of creation back into a part of him, then he possesses uncreated antimatter. And he can use that uncreated antimatter towards his ends. So that is, all in all, the goal of the demiurge. Okay, so when you're bringing yourself to godhood through the middle path, okay, to godhood, you should actually be looking past godhood into titanhood. Okay, should be looking past godhood into the unknown. You should be identifying with your spirit and not your soul, because this is the soul here, the pineal gland. This is the soul. This is the abode of the sun and the moon, the home of the sun and the moon, where the left and the right eye become one. Okay, but you should be looking past that into the unknown, to your spirit, to the spirit world, the great spirit plane, where that light shines down. That bridge, Lucifer, is bringing you that light from that unknown realm. So you should actually be looking to identify with your spirit and not your soul. To do so, you're only bringing your body and your soul and your spirit closer to Yaldabaoth, to Jehovah, to Yahweh, to Jigga my nigga, Hova, and all that. Jigga my nigga. Oh shit. Jigga my nigga. You heard? You know what I'm saying? You seen Jigga my nigga at the in his Masonic some ceremony he was at, and I don't knock it. I don't knock it. You know what I'm saying? You know, you could only speak to people according to their consciousness. You know what I'm saying? I ain't here to convince nobody of anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here to show y'all what Gnosticism is. Whether you agree with it or not my concern. You know what I'm saying? This is Gnosticism explained, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's what we doing out here. We working. Okay, so death and reincarnation. The tricks. See, this is how you're tricked. This is how you're tricked into identifying with your soul and not your spirit. Saying a lot of people don't even know that there's a difference. Shit, man, hold on. Wait a minute, man. Let me check something out here. Check something out, man. How long we been going? How long we been going here? Check this out, people. You know what I'm saying, we about to break this up into 2 parts. Appreciate y'all. You know what I'm saying, for checking in. Word. But I'm about to handle some business real quick. You know what I'm saying, we gonna take this up. We gonna finish this later on a later date. You know what I'm saying, Brother Bridge, a boat of sun moon. Peace.